Chad, good to have you back on the program. What was the game plan defensively against the Giants last night?
Thanks for having me back on, Dan. It's always good to be on, especially when we're 4-0, I suppose. But, last night, obviously, our focus was on Eli and those receivers. Obviously, with our brand of football we play here in Minnesota, it's very much complementary. We've got to play great special teams, an offense, defense. You can't just rely on a high-powered, offense or a defense that's going to win every game. So, we try to win in all three phases. Special teams got started last night with a turnover and then points and by the offense, and we just kept rolling. But, our defensive focus last night was really on those highly talented receivers that they have.
What was Xavier Rhodes' role last night on Odell Beckham?
Well, it's interesting because we're obviously getting Xavier back from a being nicked up early in the season, and you kind of always are wondering where a guy's at, 2 or 3 weeks, post injury, and feel like he's kind of in the spot where he can come back and be himself. Probably not all the way, but you kind of have to feel it out and see how he does throughout the week of practice. And he practiced hard, practiced well, and obviously was put in position to in a tough spot. Kind of shadowing 13 all night for the most part. Through most of the situations, and did a phenomenal job. He's a great competitor. He's so big for a corner, and just has a great knack for kind of being in the right spot. So we knew we could really trust him in some key spots. And it's nice when you have young players like him that could react well in big spots.
What is the art of getting into somebody's head? Because it felt like Xavier was trying to do that a little bit with Odell Beckham, and it worked.
Well, I think some of that gets a little bit overblown, honestly. I think when you're out there competing and you're going after it, and in that situation when you're shadowing a guy and it's sort of one-on-one almost, every play, you're going to get heated. Things are going to happen. Things are going to get said. You're going to, make a play or he's going to make a play. And so I don't know if I think it's less about getting in somebody's head, but just competing, competing at a high level. And I think both those guys were doing that. Whether 13, whether Beckham deserved the flag last night or not, I don't know. It's not my decision, but I know they're competing hard, and things are gonna happen in the heat of battle, and luckily for us, we didn't get flagged for anything.
Chad Greenway, Vikings linebacker, joining us. Dan Patrick Show. What was morale like when Teddy Bridgewater went down?
Well, probably, morale was obviously down. You go through a whole training camp, you go through a whole preseason, you're preparing for your first game, and you're sort of in this void of waiting for the regular season to start, and on a play that's happened thousands of times in his career, just kind of a freak thing happens, and the morale was really shocked, and what's next, and it's hard even for a guy like myself who's seen a lot of things in this game. It's hard for me to put on that face with these young guys and say, hey, we're going to be fine. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going, next guy in mentality. And that's the mentality we took. But at the same time, you couldn't help but think, holy cow, he's our starting quarterback. We haven't even started the season yet. What's going to be on the horizon for us?
And then you bring in Sam Bradford. Is it your job to go say hello to him, or do you wait until he says hello to you?
Well, no, I think, I played against Sam and obviously, just know him from competing against him and knowing he's a good guy. And I know Chris Long really well, who was a good friend of Sam down in St. Louis. And honestly, when you kind of get, when a guy has a reputation like Sam with just being a really good guy, good teammate, a guy that's there for the right reasons, it's pretty easy to go up and say, hey, hi, I'm Chad. How are you? Nice to meet you. Let's go win some games.
Well, he seems like he's done a pretty nice job of acclimating himself into that offense. And, that you lose Adrian Peterson, you lose Bridgewater, and it doesn't feel like you guys have lost that much. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think it's we're just different. I think in the NFL, we're not the only team that's had, some attrition. I mean, there's teams all across the league that have had big players go down and are just reacting by putting next guys in, and that's really where we're at. I mean, you're going to have these things happen throughout the season. Clearly for us, also lost left tackle Matt Khalil. We've lost some key components, yes, but you can't think about what you don't have. You got to deal with what you got, and those are the players we have. They're kept on the roster for a reason. They're good players. A backup in the NFL is a dang good player in most positions, and we've had guys step up and play extremely well early on here. We're at the quarter pole of the season with the bye coming up in a couple of weeks. We just got to keep pushing and doing our thing.
I know this is supposed to be a day off. Is it a day off for you?
Well, I drove the kids to school. They had a little late night last night. They went to the game, so drove the kids to school, running a couple errands. Just talking to you, just doing some fun stuff. Like my 2-year-old's not happy right now that I'm on the Dan Patrick Show. I'll tell you that much.
Your 2-year-old's not a Viking fan. Is that the problem here?
Well, no, she very much is. I think I have to ask her when she can talk a little better.
All right. Well, I'll let you be Father of the Year there. And thanks again for joining us. Congrats on the success so far.
Yeah, as always, thanks for having me on. And it's nice to be 4-0. We got to keep rolling.
All right. Chad Greenway, Vikings linebacker. They got the Texans coming up.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.